Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is MG Govia. I'm the Education Outreach Liaison of Okie 811 and today's host of Digging Deep, an Okie 811 podcast. Today, I'm really excited. This is part of the Okie 811 series. We've already had one podcast release where we had a conversation with Susan Bull, our executive director, then Angie Niemeyer, who's my boss, the director of business and education. And now we get to geek out. Now we get to do some technical talk and some things about how all this stuff gets done with our director of operations, Jerrell Welch. So I'm excited about this conversation. So buckle in and get ready to learn a lot of cool stuff. So Jerrell, before we get started, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your history with Okie 811?
Yeah, so I actually started with Okie 811 a little over 5 years ago as the contact center manager, and I've transitioned since then to the director of operations. This means that I get to work with the talented teams in the contact center, our quality assurance team, and then also our IT and GIS team. So I kind of get to interact with some very talented people and help kind of steer different aspects of the organization forward. So it's really exciting. I can't say enough good things about the team that we have in place and the things that we've done and are doing.
Awesome. And that's exactly where we want to start off with. Being in your role, we've had a lot of stuff take place in just the last couple of years. Every company involved in our industries have, but I'm really proud of what Okie 811 has done to stay afloat and excel through everything that's really taken over the last couple of years. So let's talk about like that pre-COVID time when things were normal, and then how we've made the transitions through all the different times.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know this, MG, but we were hyper-focused pre-COVID on really creating a flexible work environment that was location agnostic. That means that we want to make sure that no matter where our CSRs are or even our corporate employees are, that they can log in and they can do the job remotely. Ultimately, we love having people in the office. We've got a great culture that is just strengthened by that office culture. But we definitely know that this is Oklahoma. Severe weather happens, and we want to make sure that this building is gone, that the excavators in Oklahoma and the facility owners don't have any skip in services, that we make sure that no matter what, we're providing those high quality underground damage prevention services. So with that, we made some major moves. We already had about 70% of our customer service agents working remotely prior to COVID. And that really gave us a leg up, and it helped us drive some of the other things that we already were moving forward with. One big thing we did was a move to Office 365. That is a cloud-based productivity suite. It actually moved our email servers and everything like that to the cloud. This cuts down on the need to have servers in our server room to run certain things, the maintenance on those things. It kind of simplifies that for us, but also makes it to where I can log into my email from Zimbabwe if I want to. I mean, it's really a great tool for us. Along those lines, we also moved our GeoCall system to the cloud. GeoCall is our ticket management system. It's what our excavators put tickets into. It's what our CSRs put tickets into. It's what our members give us mapping for to do all the different things that Okie 811 does. One cool thing about being in the cloud is our geo redundancy. What that means is if services go down on the West Coast, we're still able to operate because we've got databases in multiple different data centers across the U.S. So that's really exciting. It really gives us a lot of confidence to know that our team can continue operating, in times of crisis as well. So to kind of strengthen that, we also added a redundant fiber service to our building. Now, I know I said I want to be able to operate externally, no problems, but we also want to make sure that if one of our service providers goes down here locally, that we can continue providing those services. And so much relies on the internet and phones. And so we want to make sure that our team members don't have any issues technologically in being able to provide excellent service.
That's awesome, because is this everything that we did even before COVID took place, right? Was there any, before I dive into the COVID stuff, was there anything else that we were already ahead of the curve on?
I don't know if, I mean, those were kind of some of the big things that we were ahead of the curve on. We did kind of lay out the start for webcams for our team members so that we could be connected remotely. We really pushed direct submission and trained excavators to help submit those tickets directly to the facility owners through our web portal. We simplified those remote usage situations with improvements in our VPN and single sign-on for multiple systems. And really, one thing that kind of made the transition for us even easier was in January 2020, we actually launched a flexible scheduling setup for much of our corporate staff. Some of them were actually able to work from home part-time. We adjusted hours to make sure that everyone kind of had a good balance. So when COVID hit, it was really easy to move the remaining people home. We had the system set up. We had the equipment mostly ready to go. I think we jumped pretty quick as we developed our kind of crisis management plan as it related to COVID to go ahead and get ahead of the curve and order any outstanding equipment that we needed to make sure that was a smooth transition.
Yeah, and I apologize for jumping the gun on that, because I remember now those moves that we were making to give each other the flexibility to work from home, have that opportunity, and then all of a sudden we got the news that, hey, we need to stay away from each other, and make sure that we're all keeping each other safe. And I love the response that our company had in dealing with the information about COVID coming out. I feel, and people who've already listened to Susan's podcast with us know how proactive we were. We didn't take unnecessary chances. We were like, we can work remotely, we can keep each other safe. And that was something that was huge for us. So kudos once again to Susan on being that leader to help be proactive with those decisions. And then it goes back to our technology being there to make that transition so smooth for us. So we got the news, we had to make additional changes. Dive into that. What happened next?
Yeah, so like I said, we moved everybody home. And there was like a 2 weeks period where it was 2 weeks to stop the curve or something like that. And so we had everyone at home. Ultimately, there were a few of our office kind of corporate side of things that really wanted to work from the office regardless. And these were team members that either had their own office or were in an area almost completely isolated from anybody else. And so we were able to do that pretty easily with some other stuff that Susan's probably already talked about in the previous podcast. So if you haven't caught that, go back and catch that.
Definitely.
Some of the big things that really helped us, because during COVID, the concern is that, your team members contract the virus and aren't able to work, aren't feeling well. And so we definitely needed to make sure that we had some pieces in place for that potential staffing reduction due to ailments. So our team actually implemented some additional automation. So if you don't know, we have an amazing homeowner wizard that's in place for single address tickets to be submitted on our website. It's a super simple process, but we made it even simpler. We took the homeowner wizard, and if your parcel or your property shows up based on the address that you put in there, our ticket management system can actually draw the polygon, which is the dig site polygon, around that parcel. And if it's confirmed by the submitter, the excavator, then that can actually be direct submitted to the member companies, those underground facility owners, without a CSR having to touch that. So that was an amazing piece of automation that our team did that has automated roughly 75% of those homeowner wizard tickets. So
that's outstanding.
Yeah, really, really fantastic. It frees our CSRs up to work on more difficult tickets. And believe me, there's some doozies out there because as we all know, there are several different issues that one calls face, specifically mapping and or the quality of information that's provided by the excavator. So we actually took the portal single address parcel tickets and automated those as well. That is going to be our professional excavator portal. So that has been huge for us additionally to increase that automation and limit the amount of work that we need to have CSRs doing on that side of things. Now, I will say we have not had any reduction in staffing. We've got an excellent team. We've really been able to keep people working, and our ticket volume has done nothing but increase. So we continue to look for new ways to help keep that burden minimized on those CSRs in this process. Some of the things that we did in the center also was implemented a new request for more information process. In the past, we would send out, we would send a ticket back to the excavator, and then they had to call in order to correct that ticket. But even in that situation, they actually just had to submit a brand new ticket. So the new process sends the ticket back to the excavator, but allows them to correct that ticket in our web portal and then resubmit it without having to create a whole new ticket.
Okay.
It really makes that process better. And it also, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget things. So I submitted it. I saw that you sent it back. I just haven't had time to get back to it. Well, after 24 hours, we'll actually send a reminder email that tells that excavator, hey, we still are lacking information and this ticket is not submitted until we get that information.
Gotcha.
So that's been really, really neat to see that process working well. There's still some improvements to be made there, but we're seeing really good turnaround on that.
I would think a great benefit of that as well is the education piece, because you're requesting more information, but it's information that they'll need on their next ticket submission and things like that, so they'll learn the process even better. So hopefully there's a reduction in the need for more information as they continue putting in these tickets going forward. That's just a cool spot. Yeah, definitely
merges your world with the tech world in that educational opportunity. So it's a very, very key point. So a few things that we did that I mentioned earlier. One of the biggest difficulties in our environment is quality mapping. And so one of the things that we did this last year was we actually updated our base map. So we got new information, new data. Now we're constantly trying to keep these up to date, but the access to that data is limited. We actually have to go out and pay a third party to go out and collect a lot of this data for us. Companies like Google and Bing, they do a lot of this data harvesting themselves. However, they also make stuff up. They have algorithms that say this should be here. And so they will put addresses, places based on an algorithm as opposed to factual information. And we struggle, we can't really do that because we want to make sure that that is the right area and that it's a safe ticket going out, meaning everyone's contacted that should be contacted. So another new thing that we did, we actually launched a new member information viewer. And a lot of times we're making all these updates and changes and you really see it on the excavator side. Here's one that is pretty positive for our members. And members can actually go into our portal as long as they have approval from an authorized contact. They're able to look at their specific billing information and contact information, which is something that we haven't had previously, but our team put that out just here recently, and I think it's going to really be beneficial for those members whenever they go to update and verify information, so they know what's actually in our system without having to request it from our member services team. And one of the last things that we did was implementing a backup cloud phone system. Previously, our backup phone system was located in another state. It was physical, which means our CSRs would actually have to reprogram their work phones to go to a whole another area. And so, as you can imagine, most people are not techie enough to quickly reprogram a phone. I would wager that it would take even myself an extended amount of time, which is not helpful when you're trying to make sure that you're getting phones back up and things like that. So that has gone really well. We're really excited to have that as a failover, and it's given us some things to look at going forward.
That is awesome. I really like just knowing where our company has been. Like I said, we've been doing this stuff pre-COVID. We were already trying to make these technology advances to make our workplace easier, more efficient, so that we can provide the best service to both our member companies, those who own and operate underground facilities, as well as the excavators or homeowners who are putting in these locate requests. And I've seen our ticket numbers just grow exponentially in the automation that we've been doing, and the quality of our CSRs and the speed at which they're able to turn around those tickets. That's all through the technology. I mean, the technology is beneficial in making all those things happen. So I love where the place we are, and hopefully as things get a little bit back to normal. I always do this. I don't know. This is required when you say normal for the rest of eternity. But as we get back, and these processes are only improving company-wide going forward, I'm really proud of what we've done.
Absolutely.
So,
well,
yeah,
just a quick point that I meant to make already, but we talked about the volume increase. We've had way more tickets than we expected. We've seen just a roughly 20+% increase in ticket volume year over year so far, with the same staff. I mean, it's incredible to see that. But the really cool part is that our service levels are better than they were. Our quality levels have actually gone up. So we're averaging some of the highest quality tickets that we have ever averaged. And this is with us checking substantially more tickets and having so many of them submitted directly to the facility owner. So it's really cool to see that increase in quality along with the increase in volume and maintaining or improving our service levels. So
yeah, one thing that can't remember if I talked about it on a previous podcast or if it was just one of my education opportunities, but the ability for an excavator or whoever's putting that request to see the mapping in front of them, to see that nearest intersection, be able to get to that dig site hands-on in front of them on a computer improves the quality of that ticket substantially. I think CGA has a statistic about that self-entry reduces the risk of miscommunication and driving a better quality ticket every time. So the more and more automation that we do, the more easy and efficient that we make those online submissions, the quality of the tickets should get improved just because the stats behind it supports that. And I've always been impressed with that.
Absolutely. Nobody knows the work site better than the excavator. I mean, if you've ever played a telephone game where, one person whispers to somebody something and then they whisper something and so on, it always morphs into something weird and completely off base. But if the person at the beginning is putting that down and writing it on paper or submitting it into our system directly, there's no opportunity for that information to get messed up. So that's the cool part about that.
Yeah, and I've just one nugget of information for our listeners. I like throwing out some stats that we've learned along the ways. So let's talk about what's going on now. Like, things are kind of coming back to normal. We're doing great things always. So what's going on now?
Wow. So we've got some really exciting stuff on our plate right now. We've got some great things in the works. One of the things I'm most excited about is our new cloud phone system. So I mentioned that our backup system was in the cloud, but we've also begun the process to implement a new phone system that will be our production system for the entire organization, has our contact center software on it, has workforce management. It's going to integrate GeoCall to simplify the process flow for our CSRs, which is going to make it a whole lot easier. They don't have to decide what they're doing next. The system will give them exactly what interaction that they have coming up next, whether that be a phone call or a web ticket or a web chat. Eventually, we're going to add SMS, so you'll be able to text in information, which is really exciting. We're also launching a new workforce management tool alongside of this, so we can make sure that our staffing is exactly where it needs to be. And then quality assurance tools. We all know that the key to what we all do with the one call, with underground damage prevention, it's all about safety. And so in order to make sure everything is safe, our QA team does a lot of work. They look at a lot of tickets. They listen to a lot of calls. And some new tools that will come in place with this system is some transcription. We'll be able to do some automation based off of keywords. There's a whole lot of potential with this. So we're super excited about it.
That is really, really cool. With that technology coming into play, will we be able to increase our data reporting and be able to have that information more accessible?
Absolutely. So it's going to give us a lot better insight into what's going on across the board internally, whether that be calls with member services or actual issues with different interactions between CSRs and excavators and members. It's going to give us a whole lot more data, and hopefully, be a springboard for better education, or specifically better targeted education in different areas, and then also help us as far as understanding what areas we can tweak our system to be more responsive and easily accessed for members and excavators.
One thing I remember in a meeting that we had is our app is going away. So what's the plan for what's next there?
Yeah, so we've heard our app is really antiquated. It's not what we want it to be. We did use a third party to build that, and they are not supporting that anymore, which means that we have to transition, and that doesn't mean a new app. What we're actually doing is we're going to replace that mobile app with a mobile optimized web portal. So the portal that you go to will be dynamically sized to your device, whether that be an iPhone or some kind of Android, maybe a Galaxy S 2500, I don't know. Your iPads, whatever it is, it will dynamically adjust to the size of that screen and be more user-friendly, so that you're able to do the things that you need to do from that device without any kind of additional restriction on, I can't see this, or this just doesn't make any sense where the buttons are. So we're really excited about that. That's something that I expect to see out probably sometime around September timeframe. So keep an eye out. We'll send lots of information out about it whenever we are ready to go live. But that's part of another group of things that we're actually working on right now, which is like our new service area editor for members to submit facility mapping. We currently have a tool called MSAM that they're able to go to and do some things. But the new service area editor that we're doing is going to be a really, really good self-service tool for our members to submit their facility mapping and get it into our production system at an expedited rate. Right now, our process is a lot of times our members just send us their maps, and we have to actually go through a process to build that out in our system, and then send information back to the facility owner to confirm that that's correct. And then we go and we have to build a production mapping setup for them. So this will simplify that process. It will take a 3 to 5 day submission time and put it down to, potentially an afternoon.
Nice.
Depending on, the load on the system, when it's submitted and things like that. So definitely makes that a lot quicker. We're also adding a new positive response sign up for members on our portal. The laws have updated, and they'll change as of November 1, which means that every facility owner that's participating in the one call is required to send positive response to the one call. This is just a facilitation of that communication to the excavators. The goal here is to make sure that everyone knows exactly what's going on before excavating.
Right.
And oftentimes that communication piece is the one that's missing. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I've already received a few phone calls about positive response and how it's going to work, and I'm excited. I've seen our portal and how it's going to be used by our members. It's literally you log in, you communicate back to this hub, and then the excavator on the other end has the ability to, the day of excavation, pull it up and say, okay, all the companies have responded. I know if it's all clear, the markings are down, and I can go to that site knowing I'm ready to work, or I know that I shouldn't go to the site yet, and I need to make in that second notice or what have you. So explaining that process to members and our excavators has been really fun. Like it sounds like an extra burden to both, but actually it's just improving that communication that was lacking over the last couple of years. So I'm excited about that law change.
And we did launch our positive response system about 1.5 years ago. So that's been something we've been able to see, work through, tweak some things. And so that's been available. It's just without everybody having to participate, not all the communication is happening the way it should be. So this is going to make that happen. We also send out an email prior to that start of excavation that's listed on the ticket to the excavator to let them know who all has responded. So we want them to be proactive and look in our system, log into the portal, look at their ticket, see who's responded. But even if they don't do that, we're going to send them information saying who's responded and how they've responded. So
Gotcha. That's awesome. And so the law change is going to have some effects. We're going to have to make some adaptations. Let's use that word, adaptations, for our systems and through that reconfigure. But it's still exciting. The law updates I'm excited about. If you have any questions about those law updates, quick plug for me, shoot me an email, education@oka11.org, or there's plenty of information on our YouTube or our website, oka11.org.
Oki 811 hosts live webinars every other Wednesday at 2 p.m. local time. These webinars cover a wide range of safety topics for both members and excavators. If you attend our live webinar, you will receive a certificate of attendance. And if you aren't able to attend the live webinar, register anyhow to receive a recording of the webinar the following day. To check out our webinar schedule, go to the Education Events page on our website, oki811.org. If you have questions or suggestions for topics for future webinars, please contact us at education@oki811.org.
So, technology is everywhere. So the law is in November, but what about 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What are the exciting things in the damage prevention industry where technology is playing a big role?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna start from like near term to like pie in the sky.
Okay.
And really, one of the things that's ahead, especially for Oklahoma, is virtual white lining. This is something that's kind of happening throughout the U.S. One of the problems with it right now is there's a lot of different ways to accomplish it. And not all of those ways are really the most effective. And so we've been waiting to implement this on our side until we can really find the way that best suits both the excavator's and our members, because we don't want to launch a virtual white lining tool that makes things worse or reduces the amount of information available. So we're going to be working through that in the next year to 2 years to make sure that we implement the best possible process for that for everybody. But one of the big things that really makes a difference in everything we do is improve mapping. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of things that can be wrong on Google and Bing and everything else. But there's something coming out called Next Gen 911. And essentially it standardizes mapping across municipalities, across the state, to make it easier for specifically emergency responders to get to where people are and really specify and have clear data on how to get there. The beauty of that is that is actually going to be something that will be accessible for organizations like us as well. So we'll be able to take advantage of that transition to provide the most up-to-date and accurate mapping data possible, which will in turn really up our ability to perform new automated checks on tickets, on all the self-serve options through our portal that will make things even better for excavators and for members, cut down on timeframes for everybody involved. So MG, let me throw something at you. Augmented reality, how much experience do you have with augmented reality?
I was once at a party where I looked like a fool with fake swords. Is that the same? That's virtual reality.
So that's probably virtual reality. So augmented reality is essentially when you have a screen and a camera. That camera is looking at a place or thing, and on the screen it builds on additional data, additional information about whatever you're looking at. Augmented reality is being tested already in the field in different areas with locators, where they're able to pull up an iPad and look at an area and see what lines should be in that area based on mapping data that they have. The cool thing there is that hopefully it cuts down on the potential for mismarkings or facilities not being marked by human error. But this technology will go even further. We're just at the cusp of everything. And of course, everything does go back to that high quality mapping, that high quality facility mapping data as well, in order to do some of these things. But we're talking about revolutionizing not only the locator experience, but possibly even the excavator and homeowner experience. I mean, imagine a time where, as a homeowner, I could go out with an app and take a picture of my yard and then get information based on that on who and where facilities are, so that I know that I can plant that tree safely without hitting the gas line or the electrical line or cutting out my neighbor's cable, because nobody wants to do that.
Not during football season.
No, not in Oklahoma. But to take things a little bit further than augmented reality, there's a lot of testing going on right now with drones. And yeah, we all know there's drones everywhere, and I'm not talking about the drones that are delivering, packages from Amazon or things like that. There's actually studies going on where they mounted, SU systems to scan the ground for facilities to a drone. So imagine the locator is flying a drone over an area, locating that facility, and then maybe there's another drone that follows behind it that is marking that facility with paint. Or maybe in the process of scanning it, that drone is actually dropping paint on the ground in that area to mark that facility as well. So there's so many opportunities with the changing technology that I honestly can't even foresee yet. I mean, I can't fathom what's to come as these technologies get better. And it's an exciting time to be in damage prevention.
Absolutely. The technology is just getting faster and faster in the field. My good friend Jason Crow with a locating company, or that they sell locating equipment, and he even talked about how the technology on those locating equipment has changed so much. They can report mapping back to the facility owner. So as they're marking and getting the signal where that tracing wire is or whatever, they're just sending back GPS points back to be connected for mapping. And so then mapping is then going to improve. And then when the mapping improves, that improves everything else. And that's now. And then when the drones get to their technology levels, it's just going to make hopefully the whole process easier and save a lot of lives. That's what it's all about.
Well, and that data also feeds into that augmented reality. As they are updating the facility data with those GPS points and providing that back, then you've got a clearer picture of where those facilities are, going forward. So yeah, that's huge, man.
Technology is awesome. I'm excited, just like you are, to be able to geek out on this kind of stuff. I mean, as a whole, A11, we have a very important role in disseminating information. The excavator is going to be digging, where are they going to be digging, and then the members' information, where their facilities are, get those two to communicate, use that mandatory positive response, and then get out there and mark and make sure that that excavator is safe during that project. That's our main role. But then when we hear about this technology that's going to make the field a little bit easier for those guys on both sides of the communication hub for us, that excites me. I love knowing that damage prevention industry is getting safer, more efficient, and using technology all the way through, and gives us geeky conversations like today. I'm a big fan. So with that, Jerrell, I'm really glad you're a part of OK1. Our leadership team is something that I know is always forward-looking and taking care of our employees. I love our company culture. I love the decisions that we've been making over the last, as long as I've been here, for sure. I want to personally thank you for your implementation and helping even technology for education to improve. Just from everything from the webcams to jumping on a Zoom call to being able to give information out to our members and excavators more easily and efficiently. So you even had a role in that as well. And we didn't even get to geek out on that kind of stuff either. So thank you for that. Is there anything else that you want to share about OK1, about your role to kind of sign us off for today?
Absolutely. So I just want to say it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be a part of this amazing organization. To all the listeners right now, I would say I'm sorry. We have the best team out there. So feel free to be envious. We're very proud of our organization, our team members, from the CSRs to the leadership team, everyone in between. We're all working very diligently with great attitudes to help improve the safety in Oklahoma, specifically for excavators and underground facilities. So, I'm just so proud, and thank you for having me on today. I know this is an awesome platform. You continue to grow, and your listeners are fantastic. So, thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you, Jerrell. To our listeners, please share this information. We'd love to hear about new subscribers, new followers, new listeners, all those words. So share this information out there. Let more people know about Digging Deep, our OK111 podcast. And we thank you for that. So until next time, thank you for all you're doing to keep Oklahoma safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.